Day 3. So I did a lot of practical work. Oh my gosh, I did quite a bit and I'm very proud I did. So I really put myself out there and I focused more on this time colour. Just try random techniques to get colours. My friend went into the print room, so I thought I'll go in there and I'll do something. People around the machines. And I found this lovely piece of wood that I found in the session earlier, which was the exact size I wanted to use for my boxes. And what I did was I did an automatic drawing, and I cut out pieces for an automatic drawing and used it as like a stencil and mask. I then sponged bright colours onto it. And then I was like, oh shoot, how can I display this? So I printed it on paper, and I'm in love with this. I love this so much. You obviously can't feel it on camera, but if you can feel it in real life, there's so many cool textures. You can see like little branches where the wood grain, come on, focus, where the wood grain has. So I continued this, doing different layers. I did bright orange and bright yellow, and that came out. That was another mask. This is layered. You see some purple there, but with the poster paints, they mainly cover up the previous layers. So I think I may use acrylic paint next time if I want to showcase all the layers. But these are, as you can see here, it has the same line going through. You can see a little, that's been flipped around. So that's been flipped at a 180-degree angle. So obviously that's where this was. And the texture is still there, even after all these layers. And it was a soft wood. I then decided to go for a negative because I was really interested to see how they would turn out as negatives. These are all my negatives and they're lovely. These bright colours I'll definitely be using. I then thought you really need to challenge yourself in terms of your materials you're printing on, because at that moment and most of the time I would print on just paper. I was like, really, come on. So I got some random material from the print room. I kind of went, just grab anything you can print on, any surface, preferably one I could stick in, but then that's okay. So what I did was, because I'm a bit of a reusable freak, and also because I wanted to put reusing in, I took the sponge which had been used for these prints and for the originals here, and I created a print out of that because I was like, before I wash the sponge, I really want to see if the colours come out, and they did. So I then went on to use the same sponging technique, but I went to use it on tissue paper. I used a mask here. Unfortunately, there is a bit of damage here. That sucks, but this beautiful pastel and the texture of the paint on top, definitely be continuing that. That was, I believe, that was a relief print off this one, and the colour's still there. There's not as much there, but they haven't been stuck down fully, so I can take these out. They've only been really pinned down, so there we are. And I then went to print on some paper, and this was an accidental experiment, but I am so glad it happened. I went to put pressure on it, but I couldn't find things to put pressure on because I felt that my hand pressure wasn't enough. So I took one of the paint canisters and pressed it down, and it actually left an embedded mark, which was beautiful. I mean, that was still wet and that, so lucky. Spoilers right there. I love this. Again, the texture, but it was paint. I then went on to this material, which is definitely the hardest to use with poster paint at least, and the sponging technique. This is blue toilet paper or blue disposable paper. You use this to wash your hands in the workshop, but I decided to use the technique. It was really hard because this was very fragile, and you had to layer it again and again because it would just absorb into the paper. But when you let it dry, as you can see, there's some tears. It is very, very fragile. So I even now have to be careful of how I handle it. But the texture of when it's dry is beautiful. That sound. So I then went on to do a full colour scheme, like a rainbow almost, and I wanted to kind of create a Savannah background, or a background that was more in tune with my Lion King song. So I did this, and again the texture build up, and that the tissue paper really lets it blend, and it takes a little while, but you have to dab, and if you swipe or do any other sponge movements, it won't work on tissue paper. Yes, on paper it will. And then I've used this piece of wood in the beginning. I had used a piece of softwood, but I knew there were other kinds of woods in the 3D workshop. I got to sort of investigate, so I took a pile of about 5. And this was white wood, so this is like the sort of wood you would use to, it's just a very smooth wood. This was layered wood, so when you layer scraps together, so this was made of all sorts. This was, I believe, ordinary or grainy wood, which was definitely by far the one that came out with the most markings and textures. This was just ordinary wood. Unfortunately, I think someone had sanded it down. So these here, I tried to print, but that's it. Because this one had also been varnished, so you couldn't really get that texture in. Again with this one was the best, because this was one of the few of the wood pieces I found that wasn't sanded down. But I will be doing something with wood. I'm just going to pause the video and then I'll be showing. Right, so you can see I have a piece of wood here. Now this piece of wood is one of the pieces I found in Epping Forest. This is one of the materials I picked up. I've washed it and I've dried it for a few times just to make sure any bugs or... Yeah, good thing I did. I just see a bug there. Just to get any bugs out or whatever. But I will be printing with this, but I will be washing it again. And then I'll be doing some printing later on. Oh my gosh. Alright, so this is week 7, day 3. And I'm going to be leaving you with a view of a lovely piece of